Breaking news for Chargers Nation, and it's a gut punch. Star left tackle Slater is officially done for the season. Yeah, that stings. Slater isn't just another player. He's a cornerstone, one of the best in the league. And losing him changes the entire shape of this offense. But hold on. There's more to this story than doom and gloom. Because while most teams would collapse after losing their elite protector, the Chargers have quietly been building a roster that can take a hit like this and keep swinging. They've got depth. They've got adaptability. And they've got a head coach in Jim Harbaugh who isn't panicking. In fact, he just addressed exactly how they plan to adjust. Before we dive into the latest updates from today's practice, make sure you hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and ring the bell icon so you never miss breaking Chargers news. All right, let's keep going. Today's session brought a mix of reality checks and sparks of optimism. We'll break down exactly how they plan to shuffle the line, who might step into the gap, and why today's injury updates, for once, actually give this team a reason to smile. The diagnosis is clear: a torn patellar tendon. That means Slater is out for the entire 2025 season. Harbaugh wasted no time laying out the plan. Last year's first-round pick, Joe Alt, is sliding over to his natural spot at left tackle, while Trey Pipkins shifts to the right. If you followed Alt's college career at Notre Dame, you already know this move makes perfect sense. Left tackle wasn't just his position, it was his domain. The only reason he ever played on the right side in LA was because Slater owned the left. And here's the wild part. There are probably 28 other NFL teams where Joe Alt would already be the starting left tackle from day one. The numbers speak for themselves. 1,500 snaps at left tackle over his last 2 seasons in college. Offensive grades of 91.4 and 90.7. Only 1 sack allowed in 2 full years. Just 4 quarterback hits and 13 total pressures in that entire span. Think about that, a pressure given up only once every other game. That's elite. And if anything, Alt might be better at left tackle than he's been on the right. The Chargers aren't just plugging a hole. They're putting one of the most polished young linemen in football right where he's meant to be. Here's a bold take. Joe Alt might actually play left tackle at a higher level this year than Slater would have. Yeah, I said it. And while Trey Pipkins won't bring quite the same dominance to right tackle, this isn't foreign territory for him. In fact, some of his best puff grades have come when he's lined up on that side. Pipkins has always been more comfortable at tackle than at guard, and now he'll have the advantage of working next to an elite guard, a pairing that should help solidify that edge of the line. Plus, he won't be stuck protecting the blind side, meaning he can focus entirely on what he does best. No, it's not as flashy as having Slater in the lineup, but Pipkins' pass protection has consistently graded out even stronger than his run blocking. That's why I'm not hitting the panic button. And here's the kicker. In the very first practice without Slater, Justin Herbert lit it up. I mean, the offense looked locked in, sharp, and explosive. It was the kind of response you want to see from a team staring down a challenge. The very next day after losing Slater, Justin Herbert came out and dropped 3 touchdowns in practice. And these weren't short, safe throws. He found Tyler Conklin, Quentin Johnston, and Keenan Allen for gains of 20, 10, and 15 yards. That kind of production doesn't happen without solid protection. And it's proof the line held its own under pressure. Even beyond the scores, Herbert's accuracy was laser-sharp all session. The offense had rhythm, confidence, and a spark that you just don't expect when a team loses a top 5 tackle overnight. To put it in perspective, look at what's happening in Detroit. The Lions have been without their starting left tackle, Taylor Decker, in camp. That forced backups like Dan Skipper and Giovanni Manu into the lineup. And the result? Defensive end Aiden Hutchinson has been wrecking practices so badly that Dan Campbell had to invent the Hutch rule, basically telling the offense to keep running the play even if Hutchinson blows past protection, just so they could get some reps in. The Chargers? They didn't need a rule like that. One day after losing their cornerstone left tackle, they still ran a clean, efficient offense, and their quarterback looked as dangerous as ever. The Chargers didn't panic. They simply shifted their right tackle over to the left side. And so far, the offense hasn't missed a beat. Justin Herbert still looks poised and dangerous. Sure, the pressure might tick up a bit, but this group isn't falling apart. With a new guard in the mix and the potential for stronger interior protection, I'd argue this offensive line could still match, or even slightly improve upon, last year's performance. Maybe it won't be elite, but it's far from a liability. Now for the good news. Ladd McConkey, who had been sidelined since July 28 with a leg injury, was back on the practice field today in full uniform and pads. Even if he didn't snag one of Herbert's 3 touchdown passes, just seeing him suited up and active is a major positive for this team. This isn't just light work on the sidelines. It's a step toward game readiness. Bottom line, the sky isn't falling in Los Angeles. This roster is deeper than it was a year ago, and depth is exactly what you need to survive a big injury or two. Slater's absence is a blow, no doubt, but as long as Herbert is upright and healthy, the Chargers remain very much in the fight. The Chargers could have taken the easy way out, lower expectations, talk about next year, and just hope to survive the season. But that's not what's happening in this building. Losing a Pro Bowl caliber left tackle like Slater has forced this roster to look in the mirror, and what's reflected back isn't fear, it's determination. Watch any rep in practice right now, and you can feel it. Veterans aren't just going through the motions. They're pulling younger players aside after plays, breaking down technique, demanding more precision. Rookies aren't shrinking in the moment. They're soaking up every coaching point and turning it into sharper footwork, cleaner routes, and stronger finishes. The tempo is different. The urgency is different. Jim Harbaugh has made it clear. This isn't a team that's going to live or die by one star. It's a team built to lean on depth, adaptability, and discipline. Every player on this 53-man roster has a role, and in Harbaugh's system, no role is too small to change a game. That's the hidden advantage here. When you lose someone as important as Slater, everyone else has to sharpen their edge. That means more focus from the O-line, quicker decision-making from Herbert, receivers running cleaner routes, and the run game getting just a little more physical. One injury doesn't just take something away. It forces growth in areas that might have stayed stagnant otherwise. And here's the thing about the NFL. Seasons aren't defined by what goes right when you're healthy. They're defined by how you respond when the bottom falls out. Right now, the Chargers are sending a clear message. This season is still wide open, and they're not about to fade quietly into the background. From Herbert, receivers running cleaner routes, and the run game getting just a little more physical. One injury doesn't just take something away. It forces growth in areas that might have stayed stagnant otherwise. And here's the thing about the NFL. Seasons aren't defined by what goes right when you're healthy. They're defined by how you respond when the bottom falls out. Right now, the Chargers are sending a clear message. This season is still wide open, and they're not about to fade quietly into the background.